Imagine someone you care about, a parent, a spouse, a sibling, needs help every day to manage. Help washing, help remembering tablets, help getting safely to the toilet at night. Maybe that someone is your mom. Maybe she's like Joyce, the example we've been following in this series. Last video, you found out Joyce could be owed nearly £6,000 a year in attendance allowance. But here's what nobody tells you. The moment Joyce starts receiving that money, you, the person who's been showing up, doing the helping, often unpaid, often unrecognized for years, also become eligible for a benefit of your own. It's worth £86.45 a week, just under £4,500 a year. It's called Carers Allowance, and Carers UK estimates that tens of thousands of family carers are missing out on it, either because they don't know it exists or because they fell into a trap that, until November 2025, was costing some carers more than £20,000 in benefit overpayment debt. I'll show you what that trap is and how to make absolutely sure you never fall into it. Stay with me, because two things decide whether you actually get this money. The first is one earnings rule that operates not as a sliding scale, but as a cliff edge. A single pound over, and you lose the whole week's money. The second is something called underlying entitlement, a quiet rule that means even people who can't be paid carers allowance should still apply, because claiming it unlocks another £46 a week elsewhere. I'll explain both clearly. Okay, basics. Carers allowance is a weekly payment from the DWP for people who provide regular, substantial care to someone with a disability or long-term health condition. For the 2026 to 2027 tax year, it pays £86.45 a week, just over £4,495 a year. Three things have to be true for you to qualify. First, you must care for someone for at least 35 hours a week. Second, the person you care for must already be receiving a qualifying disability benefit. That includes attendance allowance, which is why this often flows naturally on from a successful attendance allowance claim. It also includes PIP at the daily living rate, the middle or higher care rate of DLA, pension age disability payment in Scotland, or Armed Forces Independence Payment. Third, you must earn no more than £204 a week in net earnings, after certain deductions. We'll come to that. It's the trap I mentioned, and it's important. There are a couple of other rules. You have to be 16 or over. You can't be in full-time education of 21 hours a week or more. And you have to meet basic UK residence conditions. But the big three are 35 hours, the right qualifying benefit, and the earnings limit. Now, let me knock down the myths quickly, because they stop people applying. I'm not their official carer. There is no such thing as an official carer in this context. If you're doing the caring, you're the carer. You don't need to be registered anywhere. You don't need a contract. You don't need to be paid by anyone. You just need to be doing 35 or more hours a week of practical care for someone who has a qualifying disability benefit. I don't live with them. You don't have to. You can live next door in the next town or be popping in every day from across town. What matters is the time you actually spend providing care. They can manage some things themselves. That doesn't disqualify you. The 35 hours doesn't have to be physical hands-on care every second. It includes supervision, helping with paperwork, sorting medication, taking them to appointments, even time spent doing essential household tasks for them, like shopping or cooking, that they could not safely do themselves. I've got savings. Carers allowance is not means-tested for your savings, just like attendance allowance wasn't for Joyce. Your bank balance doesn't matter. It's just your earnings that the rule looks at. I'm related. Surely you can't be paid to care for family. Yes, you can. Most carers allowance claimants are family. Sons, daughters, spouses, siblings, parents caring for adult children with disabilities. It's normal. Right. Now, the trap I promised, the earnings limit. For the 2026 to 2027 tax year, the limit is £204 a week of net earnings, after tax, after national insurance, after half of any pension contributions you make, and after certain work-related expenses, so you can work part-time alongside caring. Carer's allowance is specifically designed to allow that. But there's one critical detail. This is what's called a cliff edge. There is no taper. There is no sliding scale. If you earn £204 in a week, you get the full carer's allowance. If you earn £205, that is, one single pound over, you get nothing for that week. Not reduced, not partial, nothing. And here's the part that, until very recently, was a national scandal. In November 2025, the Department for Work and Pensions announced it was reviewing carer overpayments dating back to 2015. The reason? Tens of thousands of carers had built up benefit debts, some of them more than £20,000, because their pay had crept up over the cliff edge by a small amount, sometimes through automatic minimum wage rises, sometimes through a bit of overtime, and they didn't realize they'd technically lost their entitlement. The government accepted that DWP guidance had been unclear. They are now reviewing overpayments case by case, and many debts are being reduced, canceled, or even refunded. If that has happened to you, contact the Carer's Allowance Unit or a free advisor like Citizens Advice. There is now a real route to challenge it. For everyone else, the lesson is this. Carer's allowance has more reporting rules than people realize. Every pay rise, every bit of overtime, every change in your hours. Tell the Carer's Allowance Unit every time. The cliff edge means precision matters. There's good news in the detail, though, because the earnings test looks at net pay, and before applying the £204 limit, you can deduct quite a lot. Half of any pension contributions you make. That's a generous allowance. If you can afford to pay more into your pension, it both saves for retirement and keeps you below the limit while earning more in real terms. Care costs for the person you look after, or for your own children under 16 that you have to pay to enable you to work, up to half of your net earnings. So someone earning £230 a week gross, paying tax, national insurance, and contributing to a workplace pension could easily come in under the £204 net limit. It is genuinely worth doing the maths properly. The Carer's Allowance Unit will do it with you over the phone. So will Citizens Advice and Age UK for free. Now, the second open loop. Underlying entitlement. This is the rule almost nobody understands, and it's worth real money. So pay attention. If you're over state pension age and you already get the full state pension, you cannot also be paid carer's allowance at the same time. The two are what the DWP calls overlapping benefits. You can only be paid the higher one, which for most people will be the state pension. That sounds like a closed door. It isn't. Because even if you can't be paid carer's allowance directly, you can still apply for it. And if you meet all the other rules, you will be told you have underlying entitlement. Underlying entitlement is the magic key. If you or the person you live with are also on pension credit, or could be on pension credit, that underlying entitlement triggers something called the carer addition. It's worth £46.40 a week extra on the pension credit. Read that again. A pensioner who cannot be paid a penny of carer's allowance directly can still be roughly £46 a week better off, purely because they applied and were awarded underlying entitlement. That is more than £2,400 a year. So if you are caring for someone and you are over state pension age, apply anyway, even if the DWP tells you you can't be paid. The application itself is what unlocks the pension credit boost. And one critical warning before we move on, because this catches families out badly. If you do start being paid carer's allowance, this can affect the person you care for. Specifically, if they were receiving the severe disability addition in their pension credit, that's the £86 extra Joyce got. They can lose it the moment you start being paid carer's allowance. So before you claim, do the maths for the whole household. Or better, get free advice from Age UK or Citizens Advice. In some cases, the family is actually better off if the carer takes the underlying entitlement-only route, claiming but choosing not to be paid, so the cared-for person keeps their severe disability addition. In other cases, paid carer's allowance is the better deal. The right answer depends on the exact numbers. This is the kind of detail no one explains, and it's why the difference between getting good free advice and just guessing can be hundreds of pounds a month. There's one more thing worth knowing. For carers who don't quite meet the 35-hour rule, if you care for someone for at least 20 hours a week, but not 35, you can apply for something called carer's credit. It is not a payment, but it credits your national insurance record for those weeks, protecting your future state pension. For anyone caring while still of working age, this matters enormously. Don't ignore it just because there's no money attached today. It can mean a fuller state pension later. A note on Scotland. Carer's allowance has been replaced there by something called carer support payment, delivered by Social Security Scotland. The rate is the same, the rules are broadly the same, and on top of that, Scotland also pays a separate twice-yearly lump sum called Carer's Allowance Supplement, worth nearly £300 each time. If you live in Scotland, you apply through Social Security Scotland, not the DWP, right? Here's how to claim. The easiest way is online. Search for Carer's Allowance on gov.uk and you'll find the claim service. If you prefer the phone, the number for a paper claim form is 0800 731 0297. Monday to Friday, free from most phones. The paper form is called DS700 or DS700-SP. If you also receive a state pension, you'll need a few things: your national insurance number, your bank details, payslips or a P45 if you work, and the national insurance number, address, and date of birth of the person you care for, along with what disability benefit they receive. Claims can be backdated by up to 3 months. So if you've been caring for a while and you're only learning about this now, make sure you ask for backdating. That's potentially over £1,000 you'd otherwise lose. A decision usually arrives within a few weeks. If you're refused, you can ask for a mandatory reconsideration within 1 month, and after that, you can take it to a tribunal. One protection before we finish, because where there's money, there are scammers. The real DWP will never text you or call you asking for upfront payment to process your carer's allowance. They will never ask for your bank PIN or password. And no genuine charity will charge you to help fill in the form. If anyone asks for any of those, it's a scam. Hang up. Use the official number you saw on screen. So, 2 things to do. First, if you spend at least 35 hours a week looking after someone who gets attendance allowance, PIP daily living, or any of the other qualifying benefits, apply, even if you're over state pension age. Even if you think your earnings are too high, because you might be wrong about the maths. Even if you've never thought of yourself as a carer, the application is what unlocks money you may not realize is owed to you. Second, and this is becoming familiar by now, send this to someone, or better still, send it to 2 people, because carer's allowance has a particular kind of hidden victim, people who have been quietly caring for a relative for years, sometimes for decades, and have never claimed because nobody told them they could. If you know that person, and most of us do, send them this video. Now, remember the gateway. The thing I told you about back in our very first video, when we explained pension credit. When Joyce was awarded her pension credit, even just a single £1 a week of it, a chain of other benefits clicked into place automatically. One of them is a payment of £150 towards her energy bill every winter. She doesn't have to apply for it. It just arrives. It's called the Warm Home Discount. But here's the part that catches people out. There are millions of pensioners not on pension credit who are also eligible for that £150 through a completely different route, and most of them have no idea. They've been paying full price for their heating every winter for years, when the discount was sitting there with their name on it. That's the next video. The £150 the government will quietly put towards your winter heating, and how to know if it's already on its way. Subscribe so it lands in front of you, because every April these rules change, and the people who stay informed are the ones who don't get left behind. This channel is for general information only. We are not affiliated with the DWP, HMRC, or any government body, and nothing here is personal financial advice. All figures are 2026 to 2027 rates and can change, so always confirm your own situation at gov.uk or with a free advisor such as Citizens Advice or Age UK.